Welcome to a new Let's Play. This time it is free running for the PS2. Now this is going to be an interesting game. First of all, I'm playing at it right now in this part with a Fat PS2. This is important for a few reasons. For one, it's a PAL only game on PS2, and I believe on PSP as well. So, you know, if you're in the US and such, you can't really play it on your PS2s. But another thing is that this game does not like Fat PS2s. Because there's a few issues with this. For one thing, the music will be skipping a few times. You'll notice it in this recording, it does that. I believe it still skips in like Slim stuff, but not as much as it does here. And another thing is that eventually this game is going to crash. It's going to crash, and then I'm going to be able to like progress with the tutorial shit. So, yeah, there's that problem. One last issue is that eventually this game is going to be unable to even play a good bit of times, for me at least. So, yeah, I'm not going to be playing this on the Fat for long. This is a game that requires you to have a Slim PAL PS2 to even play it, so it's very much not going to be nice there. Another thing is that this game was also released on the Wii and the PC years after the fact. On Wii, I believe it was like 2012 or whatever, and on PC, it was 2018, I believe. However, I think on both of them, they removed FMVs, they removed a lot of music, they removed all the names and such you'll be seeing, all the sponsorship stuff you'll be seeing. They removed all of it, I believe. So, yeah, there's not much game with those ones, which is why I am playing this version because it has the most game to it. Also, here's some characters.
Lox.
Yep.
Ombre.
Uh-huh.
Mantis.
Mm-hmm.
Skeet. Tyler.
Yep.
Limpet.
Mm-hmm.
Rainer.
There you go, that's all the characters.
Mantis. Skeet.
As you can see from their
Tyler.
stats, a lot of them,
Tyler,
except for that guy, have
Tyler, Limpet,
really bad
Rainer.
fucking health stats. Like, they're in the negatives, except for that one guy. Because health doesn't really matter that much, especially when you come to like play this game. But right now, we're going to go through and actually beat the entire thing. We're going to get all the gold medals, get everything unlocked. We're going to get everything 100% done, as usual. In the hangout over here, you can check out all your stuff you currently have, which right now we only have the intro, the, and the music that we got right off the bat. Some of the music might be copyrighted, so there might be some mute parts in these videos. I'm sorry about that, but not much you can do about it. But as you can see, Mon Iverson is in the majority of the music in this game. And he is the only musician still in the game when it came to the PC release and such, so yeah. Anyway, we're going to the gym because this is where the tutorial is. There are only 3 challenges here, Amateur Pro and Advanced Pro. You know, no sick or whatever, just pros. And we'll be learning from Sebastian Fuken, who his name was changed in the PC version and such, but here he is an actual person, an actual stuntman and parkour expert, Sebastian Fuken. Let's hear from him and see what wisdoms he can give us for parkour.
Hey there, my name is Sébastien Foucan. I practice the art of free running, or parkour. It is the art of fluid motion through an urban environment. Those who practice parkour are known as tracers. You want to become a tracer, don't you? Why else would you be here? Do you want Sébastien to teach you? Let's start with a few basic moves, just to get you warmed up. I'm going to set you 8 training lessons. Each one will teach you a basic parkour technique. Pass all 8 lessons, then come back to me.
Now, I'm having a hard time believing that that's the voice of Sebastian, and the reason for that is when we get into the other characters, because I think everyone has the same voice actor, and the actual people did not fucking care enough to voice act for this game. But yeah, right now we're learning the very basics of amateur, like how to move, how to jump, how to climb, all of that stuff. Like the very, very basics of parkour in any game. And by the way, this is around the time when stuff like Prince of Persia and I believe Assassin's Creed came around. Because it was like, you know, looked upon with those games in mind. And this is all a focused parkour game. Those other games, they have parkour as a mechanic, not a focus. So, looking at a game that is specifically all about parkour. And I'm telling you right now, when people say that you should play, you know, Assassin's Creed and Prince of Persia instead of this for parkour stuff, they weren't joking around. A lot of the controls in this game are going to be incredibly jank and come down to a lot of timing that doesn't quite work so well. Not only that, but there's a lot of challenges in this game where they're just bullshit sometimes. They're just not even fair at times. So, yeah, it's gonna get rather shitty, but for the most part, we're gonna get through everything, and we're gonna look at how bad this game's going to be. Not only that, this is a game that's kind of massively forgotten for a lot of reasons. One of those reasons being that it was only PAL release, and it only works on fucking Slims. And yeah, there was a Wii release and a PSP release, and even a PC release, but even though the PC release has only been around for like 2 years, I have heard absolutely no talk about it, and I've seen what has happened to the PC release, and it sucks compared to PS2, compared to the original release. It's a shell of itself almost. So yeah, this is one of Rebellion's kind of, you know, shittier things. Honestly, they're more forgotten games for a good reason. They have games that are, you know, not forgotten and not crap, but Rebellion do have their moments of just not good stuff, and this is one of them. Next up is Veil Walking, which is really awkward. There's no bar or anything that lets you know if you're going to lose balance or whatnot. You just have to guess by your character verting around. And yeah, I couldn't control that, by the way. Once I got to the end, I lost all control of movement, so the game just forcibly made me fall down like that. But, and there's also, like, wall running. We got vertical wall running and, you know, horizontal wall running. And they do kind of work, but not really. They're also rather awkward. Like, there's normal wall running. There's also jumping wall running and backflip wall running. There's jumping. I believe I show off the backflip, maybe? Oh, wait, no, I can't. I could have in the first one there, but, whatever. The backflip is a trick, though, but I never really use it because I just kind of forget that backflip wall running is a thing. It's only for tricks, and it's not even that great, so I mean, there's a lot of tricks in this game that you're going to end up forgetting, and you're going to focus on certain things, because they put in so much that it becomes a bit of an overload on what you can do. Oh, by the way, in a lot of these sorts of games, when there's parkour, you usually just have to hold left or right and it does a jump for you. But in this game, no, you have to press this button while going in the direction to actually do a jump. It gets a bit awkward to, you know, remember the first time around. Once you get a hang of it, it's not that bad of a problem. And that is all the amateur stuff. So that was all just, like, movement stuff. But nothing about parkour tricks or whatnot. And when it comes to this game, you are 100% gonna want to know how to do parkour tricks if you want to even, you know, get anything better than a bronze. So, let's go to Pro Train and see what's next, because now it's time to improve our tracer skills.
Hello, my friend. I think you're ready for the next level of parkour training. You may have worked out for yourself some of the moves I'm about to teach you, but there will be some techniques you don't know yet. The next phase of training is all about learning advanced ways of getting from A to B, using tricks to add style. Scoring highly will give you an adrenaline boost. Good luck. Do you want to attempt the pro training lessons? Great. Complete all 8 training lessons and visit me when you're finished. Style is almost as important as speed, so try to remember to pull off as many tricks as you can.
Right, so pro. And yeah, you kind of saw some skipping there. That was my Elgato, not the fucking, you know, the game itself skipping there. My Elgato is still gonna have some weird skipping, unfortunately. But there is actual audio skipping that happens in this recording that is pretty bad. Anyway, that was just a horizontal wall run. We could have learned that in amateur, and we should have learned that in amateur because that is about as basic as vertical, honestly. Then we got the tic-tac, which isn't as great. This is where some of the main problems come in, like for instance the tic-tac here. The tic-tac, the way it works is that you know, press the button every time you go to a wall to make continuing to jump and shit. And then eventually get to the very top where you can then grab. The problem is if you don't press X at the very top, that can happen to waste your time. The problem is that sometimes the tic-tac will, you know, do it normally where you can just, you know, do it like 3 or 4 times and it'll grab. And sometimes you get very close to the top, but you're not quite there to where you're actually grabbing the thing. You have to do an additional tic-tac to then grab it. And that just happens at random. Sometimes you'll actually get all the way to the top, sometimes you won't. It's completely random on what happens there, and you get kind of fucked for that. Also, sprinting. Sprinting is something that I'm not a big fan of, because it's kind of awkward to get the timing down, considering they pull your camera back when you start sprinting, and it's just rather jank on how it works. Not only that, but you only get a limited amount of fucking sprint to work with, so yeah, you can easily run out of sprints without even, like, noticing it. It's that blue foot there. The green foot there is your flow, which, like, the flow only comes in for certain challenges, otherwise not much going on there. It also has this rail sliding thing, which, I mean, would have been cool if it wasn't for the fact that when you jump here, it doesn't count. I don't know why. You have to just slide normally. You can't just jump for that one. In case you're wondering, to get through a lot of these challenges, the fast way of doing it is to just jump on rails. Not really like walk across them and such, but to just jump across them. It's much more faster and better. But, yeah, there's also this one right here, which is, you know, pole vaulting, I believe. Yeah. This one's awkward. There are times where I can just jump to the next bar no problem, and times where it won't even jump at all, and then it just kind of slows down and not really spin anymore. It's really awkward. I'm not a huge fan of how the poles work in this game. Also, to do a 180, you know, it says use the triangle button to do a 180, but the 180 you have to do is always just tap the X button and then hold back. And that's how you do a 180. As far as I can tell, I can't get it to 180 with a triangle button press, so yeah, there's a lot of things here that you have to remember, and some of it doesn't even work that well, so it's really awkward. That does work though, you know, horizontal pole vaulting does work luckily, and as you saw there, I did a quick one, which what you do there is you hold the direction after you jump on left, up, or right, and then he'll direct himself to that. If you hold back, it doesn't do shit. But yeah, let's just hold the direction left, right, or up, and he'll face those directions, and there you go. The problem is when the camera moves itself. It's when the camera locks itself in place somehow. And when the camera locks itself in place, it leads to massive fucking issues. Like you just saw there, that I nearly got to the top, but I had to do an additional tic-tac to actually get up there. Really awkward. Oh yeah, precision landing. Precision landing is when you jump onto a rail and you press the X button at the right time to stay landed on it. It's not really good. I always have a hard time getting precision landing to actually work out for me. Again, I find it much more easier to just jump off the rail instead of doing this shit. There will be a few challenges, mainly mentor challenges, which we'll go through like at certain points in the game, where you have to do precision landing. But otherwise, you can just, you know, press circle instead of X when you jump onto a rail, and you'll keep jumping, and it's so much fucking better. Like, it's not as jank as landing precision landings. But, yeah, now we get into the next one, which is, the wall walk. So, I got confused how the wall walk even works. I thought you had to wall run up there in the middle there and then something happens, but no, there's no split thing in this game like some games do. What happens is you have to go on the left or right side and do a wall run, but then you have to press the X button at the very top of it. The problem is, if you let go of the X button at any point, you will end up just dropping. So you actually have to hold the X button, and at the very top, let go, and immediately press the X button again to even get a wall walk happening. But the problem is, depending on where you are in the direction of the wall you're facing, you are going to get screwed on that as well, because what the game expects from you is to actually be on the right wall if you want to go to the left, and on the left wall if you want to go to the right. You're not going to notice that until you actually pull off your first time, and then you notice where the fuck you're going from there. So from here, I can't get up here because there's nothing up here for me to get a grab on. So I have to fucking, you know, restart and then go for the other wall instead. Everything about how the wall walk works, I fucking hate. And I'll only do it if the game's gonna force me to do it. The same thing for the thing called a Pharaoh walk or whatever, which we'll be doing in the Advanced Pro shit, because we're done with Pro now. And yeah, that was Pro. Still no tricks. Tricks come in for Advanced Pro, and I don't even give you all the tricks. It's not all the tricks are not even going to be trained to you in this game, which is really bad. But now it's time to really end our training here with Advanced Pro.
You've reached Advanced Pro training. Well done. This is where the real work begins. Here, my task is to find your limits and push you beyond them. Everything I have taught you up to this point will be tested to the limit. Your speed, flow, and trick abilities will fuse together to create a synergy between you and your environment. Anything less, and you will fail the challenges that lie ahead. Many good tracers have declined what you are about to face. Attempt the Advanced Pro training lessons? Good. The highest level of training awaits you. 8 lessons stand between you and greatness. Each lesson will force you to mix your flow and trick skills.
I find it funny that Sebastian even says that little tracers can actually make it through this, considering there's a lot of tracers in this game, like a lot of AI that could easily pull off tricks and such with no issues at all. But yeah, now it's time for tricks, which are done with the R1 and L1 buttons, and then the triangle button for the land tricks, circle button for jump tricks, and if you're by a spot you can vault, X for vault tricks. But there's barely any vault tricks that are going to be worth it to you. It's mainly if you're forced to do a vault trick that you'll want to do it, and you'll rarely be forced to do one. You're mainly going to be using the triangle and circle buttons for tricks, honestly, when it comes to any of this. And you're going to be pressing the square button for every landing, because the break fall is a trick in itself, and it will give you points, so there's that. One issue, however, is aim. And another issue is actually pulling off the break fall. Aim is going to be awkward because your guy will aim in weird ways, and sometimes will be like going into weird directions when you jump too. It's really bad. But another thing is the break fall. You have to time your break fall just right to actually pull it off, and actually getting the timing right is awkward because a lot of tricks can last longer than other tricks, and even if you're landing it like your feet land on the floor, you need to wait a little bit longer than that before you can actually press the square button. It's not great. Like, originally I started just like spamming the square button to do my break falls, but eventually I got used to how the timing works. But it's definitely a learning pain on how the fucking thing works. Also, you might have noticed I was doing the Barani right there on the first one. It didn't register it. There are moments where you try to do a trick or a vault or whatever, and the trick won't register until like a certain moment in the animation. If you're too early, it'll show your trick's going, but your trick will not happen at all. And that just fucking sucks. Also, it tells you how to land on this one, but you can just do the trick here, and you don't have to land at all, because the game gets rid of your control immediately. Also, you know, you can just do one tap to get a flying dragon, but they want you to do a double healer. So, there you go. And yeah, that's a jump trick right there. There's a few of them. You'll be doing land tricks a lot more because you get more used to it than you will on jump tricks. At least I did.
Flying dragon.
Like, I try to look for more tricks to do because they tell you, you know, explore the buttons to see what kind of tricks you can do, what kind of combos you can do. Don't bother. Like, I'm bothering because I want to explore it, but there's no point in doing so because, unfortunately, the game has a lot of tricks locked until you complete certain missions and such, and there are a lot of tricks locked off from you until you complete certain missions, so we are very barren on what we can do right now. But eventually we'll be able to actually pull off some stuff that will be useful for us to get scores and also get through stuff. Now it's time for the Pharaoh Climb, which works the same way as the wall walk, but the problem is you actually want to face the wall you're going to instead of, you know, facing the wall you go opposite from. Also, you hear that skip? Ah, yeah.
Pharaoh Climb.
That happened a lot for me with the Fat. It's really bad. The skipping is really fucking bad. But yeah, that's how you do the Pharaoh walk. And again, I'm barely gonna do it unless the game forces me to. There's a lot of moments where the game will only be forcing me to pull off certain things to actually pull it off. Horizontal attack is also similar, but I do find some use in it in a way for getting across areas. But ultimately, it's just for that. It's not for anything else. Horizontal attack is also kind of weird in how it works because sometimes it doesn't even fucking work at all. Like, right there, I was actually doing the horizontal tic-tac, but it just didn't register the L1 button. It's a certain point where the horizontal tic-tac just won't register for you at all because you were actually too late or at a certain point in the game where it just won't do it. That's what happened to me a few times, and it's really fucking annoying. Oh, and by the way, that camera thing, there it is right there. When the camera's like this, when it locks your camera like this, it makes, like, landing things and doing things and such an absolute fucking nightmare, especially when it comes to pole vaulting. Because your pole vaulting becomes all fucked up. If you want to go, like, you know, facing right, you have to press up. When the face left, you press down. It's really fucked when the camera locks you in like that. And it's only in select spots when you won't even realize it, so yeah, it's just really bad the game will lock your camera like that, and I fucking hate it. I also hate when the camera locks your camera down, like downwards onto above your fucking head, for no good reason, because you can barely see where you're going and such. And then I get confused on the 180 volt here, specifically when you go after it, because the 180 volt's easy, just hold the X button, but then it's like, where do I go from there? I don't know where to go. Well, actually just drop down. It's right below you. Like, they could have just told me to then press the square button to drop down, but I didn't know what the fuck to do there, so yeah, it is a lot of things in the tutorial that aren't really well explained. This is not a great tutorial, honestly. But you'll see that a lot of the tutorial stuff we're learning here isn't going to matter too much when it comes to the grand scheme of this fucking game. And now it's time for me to explain this last thing when we get into this. When it comes to the Fat PS2 of playing this game, when we complete this one here and do this trick called the butterfly kick, yeah, we're going to end up, by the way, doing it over shit as a vault, really risky. You'll only want to do it when you have to. Just don't do vaults over the shit with normal tricks. But yeah, this is supposed to then play an FMV, now we've completed all these challenges, but if you're playing it on a Fat, the game's going to crash because the Fat just doesn't want to work for this game, and when you try to play the FMV, it just dies. And it happened to me again when I tried over for this one because it didn't save your progress on this point. So, in order for me to progress, I had to unplug my Fat, plug in my Slim PAL PS2, and then do it all over again. I got less skips, I got lesser loading times. Loading times were not as long as it was in this, and the FMVs do fucking work. So, at the very least, I can then progress from the game and show you this cutscene here called Sebastian. Yeah, that's it. Great FMV, huh? Anyway, next time on free running, we are going to the first level, which is the hub area, which is called home, our home turf. We have a few things to go for. The last 3 challenges here, the mentor challenge, we'll be doing it until like later on in the game for certain points. A lot of things we'll be doing until later on in the game to unlock them. But right now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time for home.